face, it's because of that.
Yeah, no worries.
Face.
I squinted that last.
You purposely put it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
One thing I noticed is that it's titled Aqua Teen Forever as
I know.
opposed to
Yeah.
so it kind of carries over when we last saw them.
Yeah.
How come, basically?
Well, it kind of makes sense for the movie when you see the movie while it's called that. But Aqua Teen Forever, it's basically because the show, seems like it's just kind of, even though it's not new productions, it's still rolling and collecting fans. It's like it could probably do that forever. That's the answer I have for that.
Why do you think Aqua Teen, 20 years since it came out, is still able to keep rolling and keep
Man, I don't know. You know why? Because I'm just so happy it is. I think it's really funny. Dave and I write and make what we just think is funny, and luckily, a lot of other people like it too. We're just fortunate to have those fans and that they like what we like. So I feel like we're all like a family because we all like the same thing. We're not trying to make people like anything. We're not like channeled into some, it's got to be this demographic or this whatever. We just did what we wanted to do and lucked out. Because back then nobody was supervising us. We were just doing it.
Yeah. Are you still able to do what you want to do now that you've reached a different place than, making random flash shit in your 20s?
You mean with Aqua Teen or
Just in general.
in general? Aqua Teen gets us in a lot of doors to talk to people. You still have to kind of hit what they like. So, but it's helped with other projects because the show is so popular. Like, oh yeah, we'll talk to that guy. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Could you impose some self-censorship in terms of humor because of the times we live in? Because comedians always, they're complaining that they can't do jokes anymore.
Yeah, but I don't think we go that boundary anyway with Aqua Teen. We may barely get there, but we feel like there's sort of a box of, we're not going to go out of that box and get that far into it because we may joke around about that stuff off the record, but it just doesn't work for the characters and how we built them anyway. So we never really feel boxed in with it because we know we're not going to do it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Or maybe they come to the Society of French Fries and say, "Hey, you're talking shit about."
And if you see the movie, we had to recast Boxy Brown for a good reason, and so that's part of the times too. So and that was fun.
Who played him originally?
Dave played him originally. Now you know who plays him now? Killer Mike.
Oh, really?
Run the Jewels. And Run the Jewels does our theme song for the movie.
Oh, awesome.
It's so great.
I asked Dave Willis about the last time you guys had a movie, there was a promotional thing with the Moonanites that got into this weird ass terrorist scare.
Yeah.
And I was just a little curious if the thought crossed your mind for this film to do a sort of nostalgic marketing for that, or at least kind of something in the way that kind of would promote it, but be kind of wary of what happened last time.
That all occurred without our knowledge. In fact, that was a third-party freelancer thing that, it was based from Turner, but we didn't even know what was going on until we did the news and showed Boston. But for this one, I think we're recreating those light-bright devices, and we're going to tie it to Plantasm, and we're going to hand them out as our swag for the cast and crew. Maybe we'll sell some of them. We don't know. So, yeah, that was a weird day. That was down.
That was incredible. I was in high school when it happened.
Yeah.
It was wild.
It was wild.
If you told yourself a decade ago that this massive scare would now be used as promotional material, how do you think you'd feel?
I felt bad that it was just the wrong time, right, as to what happened here. And then we put what looked like bombs under bridges. I wouldn't do it again because of that, but just because it happened without any of our knowledge, it's kind of bitterly interesting that it was us.
Was the show ever threatened to be canceled over that?
No, not at all. No, but I think we did have to take out for a year. We didn't run episodes with them just because they were so scared of Because the thing under the bridges was I think it was Earth flipping you off.
Yeah.
So they pulled Moon Knight episodes for it.
Okay. Yeah, the 2000s, you couldn't do stuff that just reminded people of terrorism. Old shows we had edited, new stuff to be rewritten. So I remember that was a very, very like cautious time back then.
Yeah. But now it's like, it wasn't us, you know. It's not we didn't do that. So the characters in the show don't do stuff like that. It was just a weird, the way they promoted it, the way the times were at the time, and what the people thought it was. So we're all good now. Yeah.
You guys, is it?
Well, one thing I want to know is that, from the closing, we always see Abraham Lincoln, doing something. You guys got to do some story on that sometime? Because it seems like, I feel like, we've seen that scene so many times, but then we never really know what exactly, like, the real true story of that.
You know what? Because when we pitched this show, the network, we had to pitch it. It was like a courtesy thing. But everybody kept saying, well, where do they come from? Why are they who they are, where they come from? And so we thought, well, let's just make them come from, just fuck it up. In times of Lincoln and caveman times and outer space. And so we just had fun with the idea that they come from everywhere. We don't know. And we're telling you basically that we don't know. They're just there.
I would like to see that story sometime.
I'm sure we could come up with one. We just have, maybe when the show comes back, if this movie does well, maybe the show will come back and then we'll put one in there.
Because it has always been like, something people have been talking about. We've seen the outro also so many times, but then we know it's a fun show, but we always want to know more about that.
Yeah.
Lincoln.
I think we wanted to. It's like, it's almost more fun right now not knowing where they came from and just saying that they're just existing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you want